Hello and welcome back, adventurers. Get comfy as we travel back to Amber Wastes into the domain of Sebua. Sebua is a forsaken domain, a desert wasteland that shelters lost secrets and glittering evils. The sun scorches a landscape of trackless sand dunes and barren rocky flats. Oases are plentiful in the wastes, but parched travelers abruptly learn that many of them are brackish and tainted. In the west, the Valley of Death snakes its way among soaring cliffs, the red earth cracked and dry underfoot. The valley was once the site of great temples honoring the gods of earth, sky and underworld, and only the temple of the Bar of Light still standing. The Valley of Death is also a site of great tombs, holding untold treasures and unknown horrors. These tombs belong to former pharaohs, nobles and officials. The walls above the tombs are carved with detailed reliefs, each featuring the mightiest deed of the person entombed inside. Natural sandstone arches the eastern face of the crags, where the alkane waters of Red Oasis swarm with bloodthirsty mosquitoes. Storm clouds gather in the sky above Sebua throughout the morning, usually cooling the desert with brief torrential rains in the afternoon. Vicious black sandstorms blow out of the hinterlands at times, devouring everything in their path with choking, searing sand. Near the center of the domain, the ruined city of Anala lies ravaged by the desert and time. What were once wondrous stone buildings and monuments are now merely forlorn chunks of foundation and windblown dust. Belligerent baboons dart for the ruins, tormenting any interlopers with their screeching and fury. Pitiful mud dwellings, clearly the handiwork of recent residents in Anala, squat amid rubble. In truth, a handful of children dwell in the city, while youngsters who have learned to survive on their own in such harsh surroundings. On the outskirts of Anala, a magnificent walled estate still stands untouched by the slow death that's gradually claiming the city. Travelers have reported hearing sweet music and laughter floating over the walls, but none has ever glimpsed the festivities within and returned. Because that's where the Dark Lord of the domain resides. Animal life is abundant in Sebua, but like the domain itself, most animals are inhospitable. Vultures soar over the desert, forming lazy circles in the sky. Black clouds of locusts cross the land once every 7 years, devouring plants and even clothing. Scorpions are commonplace. Often they swarm from a fetid waterhole when the stone that covers the well is pushed aside. Dr. Rudolf von Richten have described the horrible undead creatures native to the Amber Wastes that the locals call Mudat. These terrible beasts were withered from the heat of the sun, with swollen black eyes and hanging mouth that they used to suck the fluids from their victims. Unlike vampires, Mudat lack fangs. Instead, their immensely painful feeding draws the fluid directly through the skin without breaking it, leaving enormous bruises instead of discreet puncture marks. Another creature to look out for is a unique cursed vampire. Musha gathers sustenance from the water in the bodies of living creatures. He dwells at an oasis in the southern part of the domain. Because he murdered the last heir of line chosen by the gods to rule the Black Land, he was cursed with eternal life and suffering until he can restore divine guidance to the people of Sebua. The key to Musha's salvation lies within the wild children, for among them dwells an heir to the throne of the Black Land. If Musha educates the child, he might be free of this curse. However, he is unaware of this, seeing the children only as prey. Sebua is a desolate land without native people, save for the reclusive nomads and wild children of Anala. The Sebuan youngsters are feral and extremely shy, though their curiosity often goads them to observe travelers from afar. Many Sebuan children have gruesome scars, telltale signs of how harsh their short lives have been. Their clothing is meager and ragged, simply scraps of animal hide or woven reeds. The Sebuan children are reclusive, skulking among the ruins of Anala like timid animals. They watch trespassers from the shadows, as alert for danger as wild antelope. Nonetheless, they can exhibit astonishing ferocity when threatened, fighting like desperate cornered prey or cunning predators. The joys of a carefree childhood are unknown to them. They must hunt, gather, and craft tools and weapons to survive. The children worship no gods, but they revere the desert itself as their harsh mother. They communicate through a peculiar language of animal noises, which Pharasian nomads have dubbed wild speak. There is no written form of this tongue, which to listeners resembles a cacophony of jackal yeeps, baboon screeches, bird chirps, and other bestial sounds. Of course, the enduring enigma of the wild children is their origin. No clues have surfaced to suggest where their parents might be or how the youths might have come to dwell in a lost city deep in the trackless desert. For that matter, some Persian wanderers have begun to wonder how it is that the years roll on, but the wild children never seem to grow up. The Sebuan children have a primitive society that values group survival and harmony. There are no tribal leaders, though the wisdom of older children is respected and heeded. Power struggles are virtually unknown, and when conflicts arise, they are settled within a simple majority vote. Virtually all disputes are over matters of raw survival, such as strategies for procuring water and food. Other residents of Sebua are nomads, traveling from waterhole to waterhole within their herd of camels. A small group of nomads come to Anala perhaps once each month, staying no more than a day. Nomads dress entirely in black, their robes hanging to the ground. Their headcloths are drawn across their faces, concealing all but their dark eyes. Those people are not friendly. No matter who approaches, they are unlikely to speak. Despite its bleak landscape, Sebua has plentiful natural resources. Wild vegetables grow along the oasis shores, and mineral deposits sparkle in the scorched cliffs. Nonetheless, outsiders are reluctant to venture in the domain. The nomads of Thracia choose not to tarry in Sebua, seeking trade beyond the Valley of the Deaf with Harakir. Sebua is widely considered an unholy land and is supposedly haunted by blasphemous horrors. Some say it is cursed by forgotten gods or forgotten crimes. The creature called the Scarberous One, who stalks the dunes eternally for victims, is only the most infamous to its damned souls. Even in the face of such dangers, however, a handful of explorers has ventured into the tombs and temples of Sebua, seeking the wealth of bygone ages. Some have even braved the sinister estate near Anala, and none of the seekers have ever returned. Similarly, the ghosts of the Akiri pantheon gaze sternly from Sebua's weathered temple carvings. Clearly, Sebua once shared strong bonds with the neighboring domain of Harakir to the west. Sebua's Dark Lord is as much of an enigma as the land, and soon you will know her story. But for now, thank you so much, patient listeners, and take care while crossing the mists.